I think consistency is a huge part in growing your channel and growing your social media, whatever it is.
The discipline and consistency it takes to break through everybody else or the noise or all the different people who start out and then burn out after 3 months or 6 months. That's what users and the algorithm are actually looking for.
When you're started from zero, it's not like people care about you. They don't care about you as a person. They don't know you. So you have to think, how will that help another person? Or what can they take away from it? And I think what's the most interesting to people is like, how can we experience things authentically?
Hello, everybody. We are here with my friend Minnie, and Minnie is a multilingual content creator, and we've known each other for a few years, and it's been really interesting to watch your journey. You've been doing a lot of different things, so I wanted to have you to sit down and we could chat a little bit more about some of the adventures that you've been on. And
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to kind of bring some interesting topics to the table today. So let's see what we can talk about. What could be
Sounds
interesting?
You're 100% Thai.
Yes,
You went to an international school here in Chiang Mai.
that's right.
Uh-huh. And why did your Thai parents send you to an international English-speaking school?
They really thought that having two languages would be a very good thing for me to have throughout my life, being able to speak Thai and English. They thought that it was very important because English is a very global language. Everyone speaks English. And from an early age, they decided, okay, we want her to be able to speak not just Thai, but also English. And so that's why they put me in an international school.
And your dad's a woodworker.
My dad's a woodworker.
Mhm.
Yeah, and my mom kind of helps my dad with the business. So yeah, we're very tight. We're good. We're close as a family. And at home we speak Thai, and we also mix in English. And with my younger sister, she's 9 years younger than me. She also learned to speak English from a young age. But we try to keep it balanced so it's not too much of English and too much of Thai. Yeah.
And I visited your dad's woodworking shop, and he seems to love the American country aesthetic. Like that seems to be his thing.
Yeah, that's right. I mean,
Where did he learn to like?
I think it's with the people he's worked with,
Uh-huh.
his customers. A lot of them are expats in Chiang Mai, and he works with custom-made furniture. So whoever wants whatever kind of particular design, he kind of crafts up for them and then kind of walks them through the process. So I think a lot of his clients are also American, which is why he's been inspired to create American, looking pieces for his shop. Yeah.
They're very American looking. Yeah. Woodworking is in your family's background, and then going to an international school. You were into photography, teaching English and Thai, and then Muay Thai.
Yeah, I can break it down.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, so I've been in social media marketing for a couple of years. I actually did start in college when I went to school for my bachelor's in communications and marketing. So that's where it kind of all began. My photography has been a passion of mine for a very long time, though. I started when I was 13. So I was definitely interested in being more creative. As when I was younger, I was more interested in photography, kind of channeling my creative energy somewhere. And photography was definitely one of the channels. And I started social media marketing maybe 2-3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, after college, kind of started to do my own thing, find my own clients, ended up working for a pretty big company, which gave me all of the knowledge that I have now, so that I've been able to apply my own kind of knowledge and what I've learned so far into my own personal branding, which is why I was able to create Tied Up with Minnie.
Right. And we're going to talk more about that in a bit. Last year, you actually did our team's photos.
Yeah,
Remember?
that's right. Yeah.
That kind of brought things together and it was really fun to work with you on that.
Yeah, no, it was fun. I mean, I think photography is really fun because every situation is different, every person's different. And I feel like the main goal of photography is to get people feeling comfortable in front of the camera, because people can tense up and they're like, ooh, I don't know what to do in front of the camera. How do I pose? Do I smile? Am I serious? And I think part of that is making sure that people are comfortable around you so that they can feel confident and feel like their best version in front of the camera.
Yeah, because a lot of, especially business owners, they aren't in front of the camera a lot. That's not why they became a business owner, was to get photo shoots.
Yeah.
And so it can be quite intimidating.
Yeah, definitely. So I think it was really cool to work with you guys because there were so many different faces and personalities, and it was like, how do you blend everyone together into one photo,
Right.
making it look fun, look like you guys are a good team, you guys are like having fun together.
Yeah, especially because you typically work remotely, and then
Yeah, you become a hermit when you work remotely.
so you had these various interests, photography. You had clients for teaching English and Thai, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
actually
mostly.
started I started teaching English.
Yeah. Mhm.
I started teaching English from a young age as well. I just started tutoring some kids at school, some students, and then eventually I became an English teacher at a tutoring school. And then I kind of did my own freelance work where I was teaching English. And then I started to realize, oh, I actually really enjoy education. I really enjoy teaching people. And I think it's a really fulfilling role to be in, to see your students grow and develop and learn new skills. And so I stepped into the educational world a little bit more, even though my background's in social media and communications. But yeah, there was a time in my life when I was also interested in becoming a teacher.
Was it only like a year ago that you started Tied Up with Minnie, like in earnest?
Yeah. I mean, I thought about it for a long time,
Right.
thinking about what kind of content would be something that I would really enjoy doing. I didn't want to create content for the sake of creating it. And, I wanted it to be something meaningful to me, but something that also provided value to other people.
So that
Yes.
is less than a year
Yes.
that you decided.
Yeah, I sat around with my friends at one of my friends' houses one day and we were just talking about it. They were like, Minnie, why don't you just try to teach Thai to people who don't speak Thai? And I was like, "Oh, I'm just not very comfortable with teaching Thai for some reason. I know I'm Thai,
Right.
but I was like,
You were teaching English.
and I was teaching English, but am I cut out to teach Thai? Because Thai is a pretty complicated language. And I was like, I'm not sure if I would fare well, considering that there are so many Thai teachers on internet who do their job very well. And I'm like, wow, I'm up against pretty tough competition. So I need to differentiate myself somehow. But that's how I did start. I started teaching basic words in Thai and basic phrases in Thai. And
Which that doesn't sound like much of a differentiation, but the point was you started.
yes. And I decided that for the next 30 days in September, I was going to be consistent. And I think that was the biggest part that I had to, overcome because it was a huge challenge. When life gets so busy, the last thing you want to do is be consistent on your social media. But I think consistency is a huge part in growing your channel and growing your social media, whatever it is. And I think people just like to see that you're showing up every day to provide some sort of information or value onto your channel. Yeah, that's how I kind of started.
And the algorithm wants to see that you're in it for the long haul as well, because it's kind of like you're feeding two things. You're feeding stuff out that people will enjoy, but then Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, they are looking at what people actually enjoy watching, right? They're recommending new creators to them, and then they're seeing, like, did they enjoy this? So you're kind of like that consistency sends signals to the people who do engage with your stuff, and it sends signals to the algorithm that, okay, I mean, because not everybody, but everybody wants to be a creator, right? Everybody wants to have, 500,000 followers and just have sponsored gigs and just travel the world. However, the discipline and consistency it takes to, kind of break through everybody else or the noise or all the different people who start out and then burn out after 3 months or 6 months, that's what users and the algorithm are actually looking for. Who's going to still be here,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It's just like you have to show up for yourself, and people will start to realize, oh, you're showing up, you've been showing up, and then they start to follow your journey. And I think that's been the biggest part is like knowing that, now that I know that people are watching my channel, watching my work, how can I continue to show up every day, provide information that is valuable? Because again, people love to learn when people are learning from you, whether you're an individual or a business or a brand, as long as they go to your channel and they see that there's sort of value that you're providing, then it's a good sign that you're in the right direction because people are going to start following what you have to say.
Yeah. We talked a bit about why Thai language. What were the other different channels that came to mind for you? Like, what were the different paths that you could have taken instead of Tied Up with Minnie? And one of the reasons why I want to ask this question is because the people I work with, coaches or creators or even businesses, a lot of times there's too many kinds of content. How do they break that down into something that they can keep up with and then is also tied with what people are, most interested in seeing? So what were the options that you considered and then why Tied Up with Minnie specifically?
Oh, I've considered a couple things. Tied Up with Minnie wasn't like, all right, we started and then it just happened. It was months of thinking about it. But that, when I decided to actively work on it, it was when things started to really roll. But yeah, there were a lot of different channels. I mean, I created a couple too.
Right.
I had my photography one up for a while, taking photos, showcasing my work on my socials. I was really into photography for a couple years where I was constantly working on it
and it seemed
taking
like that
photos.
might be the direction that you put your brand
Yeah,
into. Minnie as a branding photographer, for example.
yeah, definitely.
That looked like it was an open door. Like you could have gone that direction.
For sure, for sure. I mean, I think people knew me as, someone who took photos, and I was a photographer in the local area, right? So people were always, yeah, they kind of had an idea of what I did.
Yeah.
But that was one thing. And I also tried to teach English online, but I just didn't follow up with it. I wasn't consistent with it. So yeah, I mean, both of those ideas, they were fine. It wasn't that they weren't bad ideas, but when there's so much competition out there already, you kind of have to differentiate yourself a little bit and think, okay, what can I bring onto these platforms now that maybe someone hasn't done?
So even with Tied Up with Minnie, there were a lot of different ways that you could have taken that channel specifically. So what were a couple of those options and how did you narrow that down further? And why did you narrow it down that way?
Yeah. I think one of the big things that I thought to myself was, what are the things that I enjoy that I would like to share with other people?
So internally resonated with you,
Yes.
right?
But it had to be something that would connect with other people as well, because when you're started from zero, it's not like people care about you. They don't care about you as a person. They don't know you.
Yeah.
So you have to think, you're thinking internally about what you want to do, but when you share it, right? It's like how will that help another person, or what can they take away from it? So you're kind of thinking, this is my passion, but if I share this, is it going to be something that people will pick up on?
Right.
Yeah. So obviously I'm Thai and a lot of my friends are American and from the UK, from all sorts of different countries around the world. And a lot of times, I mean, it really started from the fact that I would have a lot of friends visit me in Thailand.
Yeah.
And we would always want to do something fun or interesting. And I would always kind of be the one to kind of shape the experience.
And show them around.
Yeah. And I enjoy that, a huge part of my lifestyle is eating good food, going to different events or experiences, and just kind of showing my friends around in Thailand, what's fun, what's cool, when we can do it on a budget. It doesn't have to be an expensive trip. And I think what's the most interesting to people is like, how can we experience things authentically? Like, what's a true local experience over what's touristy and what's trending and what what the majority of tourists are doing. So I kind of wanted to show Thailand from a more local perspective.
What point did you're like, oh, okay, that video got a lot of views. Oh, another video seems to be doing well. Oh, I seem to have an uptick of subscribers. And how long did that kind of take from you just like putting in the work and putting in the time, having some videos doing a few hundred, a few thousand, but then at what point was it like, I think this is working. Like all the advice I hear online, it seems to be working now.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely took a while, but I knew that going in.
Sure.
And I think the big thing is I think the big thing is, you need to learn to be patient with the process, which I think people overlook or underestimate that time frame, because it's not like it's going to happen overnight. You work
You've put in hundreds or thousands of hours.
for it to happen in one night, basically.
Right. Yeah.
Right? It's
Suddenly it blows up and you're like, no, I've been at this for
I've been at it.
months. Right?
I've been at it. My Instagram took since October. So it took a couple months for the first post to really go viral. And before that, I only had 600 followers. I was getting like 2, 3 followers a day.
Some of us would die for 600 followers.
But that was like 6 months of building up
Sure.
to 600 followers,
Yeah.
which is okay. It's like it could be better, but
It's
600, yeah, like it could be better.
right.
So, people overlook consistency and patience. And I feel like that's the one thing that really you need to stick to if you want to grow a brand.
From what you've learned, how would you advise small businesses as far as like kind of picking an angle that actually is helpful to their target audience?
It's really important to have an open mindset of wanting to share your knowledge and not being stingy or selfish about keeping it to yourself. Because, when you open to sharing your what like whether you're an expert in something or you're a coach or you're doing something for your brand, a lot of it is how much can you share. Obviously, you don't have to share like 100% of the work and the business that you do.
Sure.
But a lot of it, I think people can really see if you're authentic about your content, if you're being real. And, people like to see someone who's sharing real life experiences, real information that can actually be applied to their own life or their own business. And I think that's what works.
You went to find a problem to solve, right? Like you're actually solving a problem for your viewers, right? They want to learn Thai to a certain degree for some reason, right? Maybe they're in Thailand, maybe they want to visit Thailand. They're actually curious about the culture and they have a problem. They don't have a guide to
Mhm.
kind of guide them through, but then they come across your content and now you're the guide, you're the solution. You're helping them find those solutions, a path to their goals of learning more about Thailand in an easy, fun way, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's important to just stay true to your content. And I think it has to come from the heart. If you're sharing something that you're not passionate about and you're not interested in, and you're sharing for the sake of sharing, it's just a slight difference in your tone or your mood, and people can see through it.
Yeah.
So I try to keep my content pretty real with my audience, which is why I think, people are more connected with my story and my experiences, and they feel more a part of it.
So now I want to talk really quick about that. There's a big difference between, and you have some unique experiences with this, um, doing social media and content creation with a built-in audience that is already there for it in like Muay Thai marketing, social media marketing and things versus building an audience from scratch.
Right.
What is the difference in actually, and what was it like for you learning the difference between marketing for that built-in audience where they're already coming to you, they already want to engage with it versus no one cares about Tied Up with Minnie
Right.
and you have to create content and make people care.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, with the built-in audience, it's definitely, you already know what you're dealing with. You already know the kind of behaviors that they might have, or, the interests, or like the people they follow, the athletes they enjoy, the kind of fights that they look forward to. And you kind of want them to become a little more obsessed with it,
Okay. So
you
you're
know?
trying to make sure that they don't like, jump ship to maybe another creator on this content, similar content or something like that. You're like wanting to engage them even more.
Yeah, because I think people, again, it's not like that was never built from scratch, right? It's just already been built and it took a long time. So now it's like that's kind of like how do you retain
Mm-hmm.
that
Nurture
audience
that
and
audience.
nurture that audience and kind of fulfill like their needs as an audience, because they're like, well, I'm showing up because I'm interested in these athletes, these fights. You need to build anticipation, curiosity, and just like wonder, right? Of like, oh, what's gonna happen next? Oh, who's fighting next? Or oh, which athletes are going to be the big matchup of the year? Like, there's a lot that goes into it, but I
So
think
you're like kind of managing that narrative a little bit. You're noticing trends and then going, okay, there's a little controversy here. So obviously we're going to have to like,
yeah, absolutely. But it's also like, you're dealing with a bigger audience. We're talking millions at this point. So it's like, you kind of have to put yourself in the shoes of someone who might be looking at your page at a huge page and being like, okay, what are some interesting content directions that could be implemented into our content so that people continue to be engaged and focused and curious about what we do.
and was it So after working in that area and then trying to build your own content from scratch, um, was that a difficult switch or?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I came from I had very corporate experience working with a really big company.
Yeah.
And obviously there's a lot of implemented strategies and marketing tactics behind, their social media structure and the way they've implemented all of their work for all of the channels. So I basically tried to copy and paste it for my own channel.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was starting from scratch, but I was also not trying to limit myself too much to be like, okay, this is exactly what I need to be known for. This is the kind of content that I need to do. Because I have to say that over the past 8, 9 months, I've been more varied in my content to see what works and what doesn't. And I think it's important, to be able to explore and continue to figure out, yeah, this content resonates with my audience. This content doesn't really resonate with my audience. And whatever resonates, keep working on it and listen to your audience too. Read the comments. If they have questions, that's your answer right there. You know what to
Read all the comments.
read all the comments. You might get a bit upset with all the trolls on the internet, but all of that is to say, pay attention to what people are curious about.
When a lot of business owners come to social media, I mean, social media is almost equated with marketing nowadays. Back when you were a baby, I was hired to start Facebook for a manufacturer in Indiana.
Mm,
And they had no Facebook page. And I had a personal Facebook and that was it,
right.
which I never used. And I get hired and they're like, oh, by the way, you're going to run the Facebook page. We had like 400 likes. Now they have over 500,000, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I remember being in the first managers meeting and I was invited in or something. And someone's like, oh, here's Jake, the new guy that's going to do social media and get us on Facebook. And there was someone across the room who was like, we need to pay someone to do that. But now, people don't think that anymore. I think it's almost the opposite problem where we will throw something on Facebook and we've done marketing
Yeah.
for the day. And it's kind of like this, but Facebook isn't what it used to be either, right? Like Facebook only shows your post to maybe 1 or 2% of your followers.
Mm.
I say Facebook because that's still a core part of a lot of brands' marketing social media strategy, but Instagram is the same or YouTube. What do you say to like a small business owner who's just kind of throwing stuff on social, but not really seeing any results?
Mm.
What do they need to think about doing?
Yeah. I think it's important to do research, actually. Technically, it is good to do research about your industry, what's on the internet so far. Look at people's TikToks, Instagrams, see what people are posting, people who are in similar fields as you. Because I think we see a lot of people as competition, right? When we're going against so many big creators or people who know exactly how to do it. But you can take inspiration from those people and kind of analyze where the gaps are. What are we missing? What can we talk about that someone hasn't really talked about yet? And I think it's good to do your research, to do like a bit of scrolling, because that's what I did very early on. I scrolled through thousands of TikToks, just okay, what's been talked about? What hasn't been talked about? Oh, there's this interesting topic. People haven't said anything about it. Let's try that. Try to fill those gaps and try to talk about something that hasn't been overused or talked about. And I think it's important to understand what your target audience needs, what your customers need. Sometimes a brand might not need a strong social media presence. Maybe it is more about community and in-person connections that's going to make the brand or the company thrive.
We're ditching the corporate page because no one cares about the corporate page for, the auto body shop down the street or the roofing contractor or something. But we're going to spend more time on your personal branding, whether on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram. We're going to make it about the owner or the sales manager, and we're going to empower him because people are more interested to connect with him as a personality than your corporate page. Or we'll often encourage them if there's some gaps. Well, even if there isn't a gap, create some Facebook groups because Facebook seems to be promoting groups a lot more than corporate pages anymore. So I'll be like, I would rather we create a group around your topic, roofing in Indiana or whatever it might be, learning basic Thai, and you just create a Facebook group. And now suddenly we have people in the group and there's a lot more engagement in that. It's
Yeah.
not so like top down, like corporate is
Yes.
just blasting out their messages, but people don't really like that anyway. So it's more collaborative.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of times you have a small business owner or a coach or a starting creator, they don't have a big following yet. So what are ways that they can leverage someone else's following? Maybe another business in town. I mean, not even an influencer, but like another business in town who has a bigger following. Some ideas on that.
When I think collaborating with different content creators or different brands, just different people will give you different spaces to think more creatively and outside of the box, because you're not just working with yourself, you're working with other people who have different ideas. And I think a big part of social media nowadays is people want to find community. People want to find people with similar interests, like-mindedness, and, just be able to connect with people who follow the same things that they do. So whatever it is, whether you're like a creator or a business, even if it's just boring, it's like, okay, is there something that you can do to give it some personality or a common interest that people can come in to gather together to talk about?
We're doing an event in a few weeks, and my friend contacted me and said, "Oh, we're doing an event too. Similar topic. Why don't we combine events?" But I saw that we were both like a little too far along in our planning and our venues and everything. It was like, you know what, let's just keep it separate, but let's cross promote each other's events, right? So when you got all the details, like I lose nothing by cross promoting her event and she loses nothing. If anything, it looks like there's more, discussion going on around this topic locally,
Yeah.
right? I'm now leveraging her audience and she's leveraging my audience to get a bit more visibility.
Yeah, definitely. It's a great way to expose your brand to other creators and vice versa, and collaboration's never a bad thing.
So I want to ask, what businesses can actually learn from influencers? You know quite a few influencers, and now you are a bona fide influencer yourself. 100,000 followers between your different channels, plus if you count some of the other stuff. So, and you have friends who are, influencers with quite sizable followings. But what can a mom and pop shop learn from the glamorous life of being an influencer as far as consistency and, finding that kind of content and all that?
Think about your story. Do you have a story to tell? Because I think a lot of people have caught on now to the fact that, not everything has to be polished on social media. Which, whereas before, I think a couple years ago, the behavior was definitely different on social media. Things were more aesthetic, more polished. And it also comes down to whatever platforms you're using. If you're on TikTok, you're going to be more like natural with it. The camera's not going to be set up at a perfect angle. You're just like rambling and talking, but Instagram might be more presentable.
Right.
Coming back to the question, okay, is there an interesting story? I can tell everyone has an interesting story. Even if you're a small store, it's like, okay, talk about why you made this. How do you feel today? What are the challenges? What are some things you've had to compromise in order to make this a success for yourself, even though you had to give up a few things? There's always an interesting question that you can ask yourself to tell your story while you're showcasing the work that you do on a day-to-day basis. It doesn't have to be mundane or boring.
What about people who are afraid of being on camera or just really feeling uncomfortable?
Hmm.
I know what I would tell them. Get over it. Like this is for business. This is not an ego thing, etc. Like I would much rather watch a video of a florist, right? Showing me with super unpolished, but showing me the flower options right before Valentine's Day, right? In her shop versus, just like an edited video with the different flower options and no person in it. I'd much rather see the old lady that's been doing flowers for 40 years showing me, because it's just a personal connection. It's real. Whereas
Yeah.
a highly edited video with no people in it and things, it just feels advertising.
Exactly.
So how do we encourage these people who are like, well, I've been doing flowers for 40 years. I'm not comfortable like Minnie to just pop open a camera.
And it's a very normal thing. I think people in the beginning, you're initially startled by being in front of the camera. I think it's a very natural reaction. but I think it's worth it. And if you want your business to grow and thrive, especially bringing in social media into the picture of making your business grow.
It's not an ego trip. You're not on camera. We're not doing a personal branding photo shoot because of it's somehow part of your ego or anything like that. No, you are letting people trust you by putting yourself out there and connecting yourself with your brand. It's allowing people to see who you are
Yeah.
because people want to trust that they're in good hands with whatever they're doing, like marketing, right? If someone sits down with me, typically by the end, they feel like I get what they're trying to do. And I'm going to do it in a way that is really, you know, conscientious of their budget and their concerns and their worries. And by the end, because we actually sat down and they could look in my eyes and they feel like, oh, I can trust him to do a good job and he's going to really try to bring it, you know?
Yeah, and I think people like to see a face on the platforms.
And not just a stock photo.
Yeah, because people are interested in who's creating this, who's behind the scenes.
Right. And not an AI face, right?
Yeah. Yeah, not an AI face. Like it, again, I think people can sense authenticity and people value it.
Yeah.
So it's like whatever it is, stay true to the kind of things that make you passionate. And
if you're
enjoy
still
it.
watching at this point of the video, you sense the authenticity because we're just talking at this point. I forgot that the cameras are here. Okay, in a short way, what have you noticed in the last year on your personal brand and then other things that you've done? What makes people stop scrolling? Like what makes them take the time?
3-second photos.
Hooks. 3-second hooks. Okay.
You want to capture people's attention right away.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's actually the most important part of a video. And it's another skill that can be mastered, I think. I'm still learning how to master it, but I think people want to be interested right away. Especially nowadays when social media content, you have an overflowing amount. You're never not going to have something you can't watch or take a look at. So it's like, how can you capture people's attention right away?
And hooks can look very different. So, for example, you might start out with, asking a question. That's a hook, which you've promised the viewer that you're going to answer, right? Why do Thai people, wear crab moccasins, on this day of the year? They don't. I'm just making that up. But now I'm interested. Why do they wear these, sandals shaped like crabs on this day of the year? And she'll then, fulfill that promise by answering the question.
Yeah.
It seems very different, but it's actually very similar. Another type of hook is a video that I like, which is, someone is about to do a skateboarding trick and you're just like, all right, that's the hook. We're either going to see something awesome or a really, really awesome fail.
Yeah.
Or another hook being, it's just tractors letting out water from dams or small ponds or things where the water has gotten like too backed up. And there'll be a tractor right there. Yeah. And that's the hook. You know that they're going to let the water out and you're going to just watch this whole thing. And you're just like, nothing else happens.
Yeah.
But it's a hook. Like it's making a promise.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just catching people's attention early on. And I learned this very early on from a friend. And, first couple of videos, he's like, Min, your hooks aren't strong enough. Make them stronger. It's about getting people's attention. And I'm like, oh, you're right. They've got to be stronger. They've got to be better. But really, that is technically, the one thing that might change your videos as well is, okay, are your hooks strong enough? Or are you just rambling for 5 minutes about something that people don't care about?
So what's a recent video that you made where you had a concept and then it took a little bit of thinking to figure out the exact hook angle?
I actually started a signature series called Past Thai where I talk about Thai history. And that was definitely an interesting series because I've always had a fascination with Thai history. It's really complex. Super deep and complex, and there's so much to unpack there. And I think initially I was like, oh, I'm a little nervous to unpack all this historical information, especially when it's like, it talks about like Thai history and there's like monarchs and like kingdoms and
Yeah.
it's boring information maybe.
Right. It depends on how you present it, right?
Yeah,
Like,
people might think, oh, it's so boring.
people
It's
just think
so
history class, right?
a history class. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be a good challenge because how can I bring a piece of information from history and turn it into something that people would like to sit and listen to because it's a piece of history. Not everyone's going to be like, ooh, this is interesting. It's
So
fresh. It's new.
did you get some good hooks, or are you still working on that?
Yeah, I mean, a really good hook is, did you know? Da 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 da. Or have you ever? Asking a question, making people kind of quickly bounce back to themselves and reflect, oh, do I know this? Have I done this before? Have I seen this before? Just making people curious about themselves a little bit as they go along and follow through the journey, even if it's a minute or 30 seconds. And for them to reflect on themselves and think, oh, okay, this is what I know. This is what I don't know. I'm curious now.
So now that you are a bona fide influencer with over 100,000 followers, I really want to know, what is your process? Can you just break it down so that the viewers can just go, wow, that was Minnie's 2.5 step plan. Okay. But what does it kind of look like?
Yeah.
You don't batch content. So typically, I mean, you might batch your history content, right? Because that takes a little bit more research.
Yeah, I think it's important to have content pillars for sure.
Okay, define that.
So content pillars are basically, in easy words, the types of content that you want to post under your name, under your brand.
So maybe some educational content, some funny content, or thematic like
Yeah.
Thai history, Thai language.
Yeah, because you want to keep it varied so that it doesn't, narrow you down to just one thing. Because I think nowadays, you don't necessarily have to niche down to just to one particular thing. You can, but I don't think it's necessary. And I've tried to become more varied in my posts and as well and explore different things. And I think it is important to discover and explore new topics and see what works and what doesn't. I try to have varied videos on my Instagram and my TikTok channels. Sometimes they're pretty casual. I'm just talking in my room. Some of the other ones that are more informative and more educational. Just so there's different kinds of content there, like hard content, soft content, right? And people are like, whoa, that's a lot of information. Right? So that requires more planning, more step-by-step, more editing, putting in the pictures, putting in the Thai words, the English words, the transliterations for each word.
And when you get it to that point, are you bringing it into your computer and working with CapCut there? Are you just do everything on your phone, or is it kind of a mix and match depending on the post?
I use CapCut on my laptop a lot, but also, again, stay realistic. It's not going to be like that for every single video because it's not like I have the full day to do my content. Sometimes it's 9 p.m. at night and I'm trying to edit a video.
Right.
I'm editing it through my TikTok app and I'm posting it.
Right.
So it's okay to be varied in your content. It doesn't have to be the perfect format every single time where it's like high quality HD, like 4K resolution, Sometimes it's like you can be talking it from your bed or like you're walking to your car or something and you have interesting stuff to say.
And now that, I mean, you're quite a busy person with different obligations that you have, right? And then also, of course, your content, your channels. So you've started to work with someone to help you with some of this stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So now that you're at this point, who have you hired basically? Like what was the next like person that you're like, okay, if I had this kind of person helping me, was that an assistant, like someone to film, someone to edit?
Yeah, I think a huge part of doing content is editing. And I think a lot of creators enjoy their editing process,
I've been editing for over 20 years, FYI. I realized that the other day, like, dang, I've been editing for 22 years. More than that, actually, if you consider what I was doing in high school and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, that's crazy because
so I can
identify. Editing's not easy work, and I think that's where a lot of people get stumped. It's like, oh, I have all this raw information, all this all these footages and formats and of videos that I don't know where to begin. And sometimes it's okay to ask for help, I think a lot of times people might think, oh, I need to do this alone. But realistically, in order to scale a business, in order to scale something that you're trying to grow, you need helping hands.
Mhm.
And you want to work with people who are as passionate about it as you are.
Yeah, like this video, if you're watching this now, I mean, this is going to be edited by my team, right? Like we discussed it,
Amazing.
right? And then it's like, okay, team, here's all the footage, here's all the different topics that we want split up. And let's edit this in a good way. All my mistakes, please take out. Leave Minnie's in. So she looks like a human
So
person.
like an actual person.
Yeah, right. Any tools or habits that help you stay on this and help you not fall off the wagon?
My calendar. My calendar is a huge part of my day.
I remember you telling me
Day.
if it's in the calendar, I'm doing it. But if it's not in the calendar, it's not going to happen. Like when we were getting together for something.
Yeah, I think for me, it's really important to organize. I mean, especially since I'm doing so many different things in one day, it's important to stay on top of it by actually seeing it on my calendar.
So you actually put in time to shoot or edit in the
Exactly.
calendar as opposed to
Exactly.
wait for free time or
Exactly. You have to treat it like it's a thing that has to be done. It's in my calendar for 1 p.m. You have to treat it like an actual job. Like you are your own client.
Mhm.
Because sometimes you can be pretty relaxed. It's okay, I'll do it later, whenever I feel like
Right.
it. But
And then 2 weeks have gone by and you haven't posted.
and you haven't done anything.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's what most people struggle with is treating yourself as an actual customer, as an actual client. See yourself as a valuable person or client that you want to work with so that other people will want to work with you.
Yep.
Because if you can't hold yourself accountable for that, then it might be more difficult in the long run to be able to be consistent with your work.
Mark, some advice that you wish you could give yourself from 10 months ago, because you were starting out this new channel 10 months ago. You're now to 100,000 followers. What would you tell Minnie from 10 months ago?
Yeah, don't worry about it being too perfect with every step. I think that's what I worried about the most. Like, oh, is my content perfect? How are people going to perceive me?
Well,
Obviously, don't be too no filter on the internet.
Sure.
Because you don't want to get yourself in too much trouble. But yeah, just any ideas, just pop them out. Just don't think too much about whether or not it's going to resonate just yet. Because try 10 different kinds of content styles, and you'll know which one's going to stick.
Yep.
And I think the biggest part is just overcoming a sort of like, ooh, I don't know, like uncertainty.
Uncertainty, fear, analysis paralysis,
Analysis is paralysis.
perfectionism,
Yep.
and all these things. So you would tell yourself not to do that and just start pushing it out and experimenting.
Yeah. And I think this is the advice I would have given myself maybe 2-3 years ago before Tied Up with Minnie, because I had been trying to start up other things, but I was caring so much about how it would look or appear on my channels.
Mm-hmm.
But with Tied Up with Minnie, I was truly like, okay, let's just let it flow, let it become a viral hits and let it flop, like whatever it is,
So you kind of stopped caring so much.
100%. I stopped caring so much about how my content would appear. And I was just focused on posting every day for the sake of consistency and seeing what would be picked up along the way.
Now, I am not in, let's see, I don't have the followers that you do. But like on LinkedIn, I just made a similar decision about a year ago where I've done the best I could, and we've gotten a lot more leads that way through LinkedIn. I've been able to double my audience, my connections on LinkedIn, and I get a lot of people saying, yeah, I see you all the time in a positive way. Like you're showing up, like I see what your team is doing. They're a lot more aware. I don't necessarily need every connection to be a potential client, but if a connection is aware of what we're doing, and then they come across a friend who needs something that we can do, suddenly we're recommended. So we're getting a lot more referrals that way. So in a small way, it's very similar. Is I just stopped caring so much and like, oh, if it's not perfect, or I don't know what I'm going to post today.
Yeah.
Um, it's not like I'm forcing myself to post every day or anything like that, but I'm just making sure that I'm a lot more consistent and just getting stuff out there
Yeah.
and not caring so much.
It's kind of like the mere exposure effect, you know? The more you expose yourself consistently, daily, regularly to all sorts of people, the more they're going to start remembering your name, your face, recognizing you, and then start to associate you with a particular brand or thing that you've been doing. And they're like, oh, it's that girl, she does that. Or oh, he does all that fitness content. You know, like,
Me.
uh,
Right.
oh yeah, he's the one that posts on LinkedIn like 24/7. Like that's his whole thing. Okay. Yeah, so it is important to show up
Mhm.
for yourself, show up for yourself, and then people will start to recognize that and see that.
I'm doing another event in town on something I know nothing about, getting more Thai clients for your business. And I'm not going to be presenting. I'm hosting the event, but I'm bringing in other speakers who can talk about this topic,
Mhm.
right? And I did not want to do it
Yeah.
because it's a lot of work to do an event, and you
Yeah.
never know who's going to come in, and you have to promote it and all these things. But already the connections I've made locally
Mm.
with new people who I've never met before, because they're like, oh, that sounds really interesting. I'm either coming or I'd like to be a speaker, or it's already been, and we've barely started, right?
Yeah, definitely. And your connections are important. The people you connect with and the people who you interact with, you know, those are very important because at the end of the day, it's about community and how involved you become in that community, I think, because people, you know, want to feel like they belong somewhere, I think. And it's finding that sort of community for yourself
Hmm.
and like what kind of people you want to have in your community.